What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in. First of all, let's give it up for that sick ass intro, right? Just wait for the outro. Man, YouTube's looking all professional now. I'm so proud of that. I told you it's gonna happen, guys. Anyway, this is gonna be part one of my 4-part series on how to diet. This is gonna be a fairly simple, fairly quick series just to get you guys more comfortable and to get you guys out on your own, to create your own diets and know what you're doing and why you're doing it. So this video, part 1, is gonna cover nutrition basics. Part 2 is gonna cover how to bulk. Part 3 is gonna cover how to cut. And part 4 is gonna cover how to stay on track with your diet, which is sometimes the hardest part, and how to look good and feel good all year round. Now, why did I decide to make this series? I decided to make this series because when I first started working out, I had no idea what I was doing. But I was lucky enough to have a few people come along and teach me, little things here and there, which I've, after 10 years, I've kind of put these things together and come up with something that seems to work well for me and for most people that I talk to. And my goal is that you guys end up doing the same thing. So once you guys are pro and you're stepping on the Olympia stage and smashing your competition, I hope that you guys reach out to a few people here and there and share your knowledge with them, because the more we all do that, the bigger the fitness industry gets. And I mean, that's the goal. It's the greatest fucking industry in the world, right? So let's make it grow. All right, so part 1, nutrition basics. So the first thing to get into when you think about nutrition is calories, right? So what are calories? Basically, 1 calorie is a unit of measurement, and it indicates the amount of energy needed to raise 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. Okay, that doesn't fucking help, right? I know, let's just scratch all that. What are calories? Calories are fuel, right? So let's look at a car, for example. If we want to go on a road trip and we want to drive 300 miles, we need to put 300 miles worth of gasoline into that car, right? Same with our body. If we want to go from A to B today, we need to put the amount of calories we need in order for our body to go that far, right? So what happens if you put too much gasoline into your car? It spills over, gasoline goes everywhere. The same thing's with your body. What happens if you put too many calories? If you consume too many calories in a day, you spill over. Those excess calories, they turn into fat. Now, what happens if you don't put enough fuel in your car? You're not gonna be able to get to your destination. What happens if you don't put enough calories in your body, which is pretty hard to do because it's so much fun to eat, but what happens if you don't put enough calories in your body? You get lethargic, you get tired, you just don't feel good, you start losing weight, and you won't get where you're trying to go, right? So that's the basics of calories. All right, now that we know what calories are, we need to determine how many calories we need to eat every day, right? So it varies person to person because, obviously some people, they work construction, they burn way more calories than someone who's sitting in an office cubicle and just, does paperwork all day, right? But a rule of thumb to get started with this process of determining how many calories you need is to take your body weight and multiply it by 12. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should be consuming 2,400 calories a day to maintain your weight. If you weigh 100 pounds, that should be 1,200 calories a day to maintain your weight. So it's not that simple because, again, it varies per person, but that will give you a baseline to see where you're gonna start. So let's say you're 200 pounds, you're consuming 2,400 calories a day. What you do on day 1 is you wake up in the morning, before you eat anything, you step on the scale, okay, I'm 200 pounds. So that day you consume 2,400 calories, and you do that for 3 to 4 days, and then you step on the scale again, first thing in the morning, and you see how your weight has changed. If you're still 200 pounds, perfect. You figured out how many calories you need to maintain your weight. Boom. If you've gone down in weight, then 2,400 calories probably isn't enough for you, so you should up it by 100 calories and try again. Up at 100 calories, step on scale every 2 to 3 days and see how your weight changes. If your weight went up with those 2,400 calories, again, lower those calories a little bit. So lower your caloric intake to 2,300 and see how your weight changes, right? Now this can take a couple of weeks, but everything worth doing takes time. That's just how it goes. There's no quick fix. No matter how much people try to get you to buy their programs, quick fix, no. Take your time with this because we want to look good for 50, 60 years, not just 3 weeks, right? So figure out your caloric intake. Now that you figure out your caloric intake, you need to figure out exactly what nutrients to consume to meet that caloric intake, right? So that's where that term macros comes into play that you keep hearing getting tossed around, right? What are macros? Macros are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, okay? Now, this again varies per person, but what I found most beneficial is to have your caloric intake consist of 50% protein, 30% carbs, and 20% fat, okay? So that's what I've seen work for me and work for many people I work with to maintain or even gain a little bit of muscle and continually drop body fat, you know? So now that we, you know, that 50, 30, 20 ratio, how do you get to that, right? So one carbohydrate has 4 calories. One gram of protein has also 4 calories. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. So basically, you divide those 2,400 calories into 50%, 30%, 20%, and that tells you exactly how many grams of protein, carbs, and fats you get to eat per day, right? Now we need to figure out when to eat what. And in order to do that, we need to understand how each of those macros affects our body, right? So carbohydrates are probably the simplest form of energy you can consume. Proteins, although they can also be used as energy, they're more likely to be used as building blocks to create new tissue. Fats are very, very hard and take very, very long to break down for your body. So yes, they are a great source of energy, but they don't provide quick energy. They rather provide long-term energy. So when do we need quick energy? When do we need carbs? We need carbs after we have not eaten food for long periods of time, or after we've really physically exerted ourselves and went through all of our fuel, or before we go into battle, before we go into the gym and we know we are going to need a lot of fuel. So we're gonna have carbs with breakfast after we haven't eaten, with our pre-workout meal because we're about to go into battle, and with our post-workout meal because again, that workout went through all of our fuel and we need to give our body some more fuel to keep going for the rest of the day. Proteins, we eat throughout the day because we are always putting on new tissue, right? We're not just tearing it up in the gym and building it then and there. No, we actually tear it up in the gym and then throughout the day while we're at home, while we're eating, that's when we put on new muscle. Fats, we eat when we don't eat carbohydrates, all right? So now there are different types of carbs, fats, and proteins, right? There are such a thing as simple carbs, which your body digests quicker, and complex carbs, which your body takes longer to break down and digest. Simple carbs would be sugars, complex carbs would be something like whole grain. There are such things as proteins that are easier for your body and quicker for your body to absorb, such as whey protein, for example, and then things that your body takes longer to absorb, such as steak, that takes a long time for your body to break down. With fats, there's healthy fats and unhealthy fats, pretty much. Fats are simple, try to stick to healthy fats, so stay away from the trans fats and you know that you find in chips and stuff like that, and try to get your fat from avocado. Red meat, even though it's got a little bit of a bad rep, I think it's actually pretty good fat for you. So red meat is a good source of fat. Now in terms of carbs, we're gonna cover that more when we get into the bulking and cutting videos, because that's when that really comes into play. When you are trying to cut, you would eat a certain type of carb, and when you're trying to bulk, you would eat a different type of carb. And that varies as your day goes. But for now, for this basic nutrition video, we're pretty much gonna stick to complex carbs as much as possible, because that would be the carbohydrate source that would help you maintain your weight, which is the goal with this video. So that's pretty much gonna be it. I hope I covered everything, guys. I'm still new to YouTube, like I've been saying, but I hope this is informative. I hope this helps you guys, and I hope you guys like this video, share it with some friends who might want to figure out how to make their own meal plans, because it's a great thing to know. Yeah, and tune in 2 days for the cutting video, no, for the bulking video, in 4 days for the cutting video, and in 6 days for the staying on track video, and pretty much how to look good all year round, because you always want to be able to take your shirt off and have a six-pack, right? Alright, so thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you, I really do. Peace out, boom, and now check out that sick-ass outro, alright?